Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON. On the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
The Audio Genius.
Get in on the conversation with Rufus Williams and the Morning Show at 591-1690. We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good morning, and welcome to Thursday. It is, July is just about over. Tomorrow is it for this month. It's the 30th of July, the year 2026. It's the Rufus Williams Show, and I am Rufus Williams, and as always, thrilled, delighted, and truly excited to be here with you this morning, and thank you so much for waking up with Rufus. Everybody's here. The co-captains are here. Annette's here. Titus is here. I'm here. Let's get to work. First of all, happy birthday to Buddy Guy. 90 years old today. And not only is he 90, he's still performing, still cursing people out, still doing the Buddy Guy thing. We had an opportunity to talk to Buddy Guy last year. And on the occasion of his 90th birthday, we're going to play that again for you this morning, because how often are you going to have a chance to talk to him and what would be the right time to do it? So we're going to do that for you this morning. I don't want to miss what we heard the other day. Somebody stole Miss Eunice's car. I mean, how low down, dirty, despicable, dishonorable can you be to steal a car from a wonderful citizen like Miss Eunice, or anybody over 90 years old? Miss Eunice is everywhere, and as she described to us, she uses her car to get to the main places and then takes public transportation from there because that's what makes it easier. I have no doubt that it's going to slow her down, but it's not going to stop her. But I got emails afterwards from people asking, what can we do about Miss Eunice's car? I'm not setting up, I don't know how, I won't set up a GoFundMe page. Don't know what she had, don't know what they cost. But one, take the sister's car back. But beyond that, we need to figure out what we can do to help her. Some folks did hit me and say, "Look, here's my contribution to help Miss Eunice. So let's figure out what we can do because she is just, um, she's about us, of us, for us. She is an elder, and even though, well, breaking news, Miss Eunice. Good morning, Miss
Start
Eunice.
recording.
That ain't Miss Eunice. That's Titus doing some other stuff back there. I know he's just been working too hard. But anyway, we'll come back to that in just a second. Um, Annette, we did a roundtable yesterday. All the hosts were here. Um, we did learn there are things that we don't agree on, and we and we chatted about those. Uh, when these roundtables happen, people don't get to call in because there were five of us, the five voices right here, all with thoughts and space where we're trying to talk into the mic. So we didn't do that, but I hope folks got something from it. And if you had some thoughts about what I said, what we said, 773-591-1690, let's talk about it. Um, Speaking of Miss Eunice's car, and that last night, somebody broke into Brown Sugar Bakery. So I don't know what to make of these kinds of things when we've got businesses that, good businesses, good opportunities that push, but they have to keep pushing back because this nonsense happens in our community.
Hey, Rufus. So I got Miss Eunice back on the line. So she says she's sorry about that, what happened on the phone a second ago. But she is on her way to a doctor's visit, and she does have her car back.
She has a car back.
She has her car back now.
Did Miss Eunice forget where she parked her car?
She didn't say and go into detail.
Well, I'm glad, Miss. Okay, that's good news. Okay, that's a great way to start. Miss Eunice, glad you got your car back, uh, and I trust that everything else will be well. Okay. So back to Brown Sugar Bakery and the brothers acting up down there. What do you make sense of that? Why would somebody break into this business and try to take a cash register? And as the proprietor said on the news this morning, nobody keeps cash in the cash register overnight.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a trend. We've been seeing these break-ins and the warnings have come out. CPD, they've been warning businesses throughout the city about this happening. In fact, one day I was coming in, there was a business not too far from us, a couple blocks away, and their window was smashed and a police car was sitting out there. But over at Brown Sugar Bakery, that is just so unfortunate because the struggle for small businesses, that struggle is real. And when they do this, it's just the damage is so costly and time consuming, and it's just terrible. It doesn't make any sense. And as the owner said, the registers are empty. What do you want? There's not even a cash station machine in there. So they just were vandals. They weren't thieves because there was nothing to steal. They were vandals, and it's just very unfortunate. And they also broke into the business next door.
It's nonsense. And I think back to the 60s when civil unrest was happening. And as Dr. King said, the riots were the voice of the voiceless. But then people would put signs up in the windows and say, Soul Brothers. So folks knew that these were black owned establishments and don't bother them. We should know that. And we do know that about these businesses. And, it's just angry. And it's nonsensical, and I just don't know what to do with that. But these are, no matter how old or who, these are somebody's kids.
Right.
And
It is so brazen as well. I mean, because everybody knows, especially kids, there are cameras everywhere. The whole incident was caught on cameras from outside and from cameras inside. And like as you just said, they're somebody's kids, and all know they have their faces covered. You know your kids, your nieces and your nephews. You know how they walk. How their mannerisms. So it's just really senseless.
yeah, we're better than that, and we got to make sure that we act like we're better than that. Brother Hall, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning, my friend?
Good morning, Brother Rufus. Had to call you, man. I was going to wait, but this is bothering me real tough. Now, and of course I worked for the board for a long time as well, but you sat on the board as the president, right?
I did.
Pardon me?
Yes, I did.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out, man, what's really going on? Because it appears that Dr. King is trying to do what she can to make sure that the staff and everybody is ready to go, right? And here come the red shirts again with something else. See, I don't trust them. They're no Jackie Bond. I'm just concerned about how they're operating. You know, it's terrible, Rufus. You got to know that this is nothing good for our students. This is nothing good for the body of that agency. What's going on? Can you kind of break that down so your audience can understand what's happening with the Board of Education?
Well, let's do this. Need to take a quick break. When we come back, I did spend an hour with Dr. King yesterday here. It is the focus of the news today. They're talking about things related to this budget, which we didn't leave with, not from her perspective yesterday. But yeah, I'll be happy to get into some of that more right after this break. Thank you, Brother Hall. Appreciate you always.
Yes, sir.
All right.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
In July, Vaughn TV has your summer watch list covered. Go behind the headlines with the official launch of Portraits in Color, featuring candid conversations with music executive Matthew Knowles, community leader Jotaka Edie, and actress Danielle Truitt.
My family's very proud. It was very cool to, when the show first came out and to see myself in those credits, with dun 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 dun, and be like, that's me. That's crazy, It is very cool to be a part of the legacy of Law and Order now.
And that's just the beginning. Premiering this month, Serenity, Strength, and Style with Sylvia Ewing and Friends, a fresh new series featuring inspiring conversations about health, wellness, creativity, and living life to the fullest. This July, there's something for everyone on Vaughn TV. Watch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV Plus, the WVON app, or at Vaughn.tv. Vaughn TV, for the culture, by the culture.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS is not slowing down, and the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank account, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, fighting to protect our clients' assets and secure them the best possible deal. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-919-9077, 800-919-9077, 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.
Hey everybody, this is Kendall Moore, The Kendall Moore Show, getting you from your work week to your weekend each and every Friday night from 6 until 9 p.m. I get you from your work week to your weekend. Church and Tabernacle.
Kendall Moore, radio for the next generation on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON.
This report is brought to you by RockAuto.com. A bent tie rod can quickly bring a drive to a halt. For parts needed to get back on the road, visit RockAuto.com. Find a wide selection of quality parts at reliably low prices, delivered right at your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
I'm Selma, and I'll be your server this evening. The special is pasta primavera, and it comes with a salad. Oh, and by the way, I abuse my children. Lots of times I beat them for even the smallest reason. When they really get on my nerves, I lock them in the closet for a few hours.
If only child abuse was this easy to recognize, perhaps then more people would report it. If you even suspect abuse, call Child Help at 1-800-4A-CHILD or visit www.childhelp.org. We've helped millions of people help millions of children, and we can help you. All calls are anonymous and confidential, so remember, 1-800-4A-CHILD or visit www.childhelp.org. Child Help. Trust your instincts. A public service message brought to you by Child Help and the Ad Council.
WVON traffic and weather now.
The inbound Ryan off to a 21-minute start from 95th Street into downtown. Outbound things are clear. So far, so good along the Bishop Ford and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. As you make your way along DuSable Drive, things are moving well for now. Do remember, there's tons of street closures through Grant Park as Lollapalooza kicks off today. Expect lots of traffic along Michigan Avenue as well. As you make your way along the Stevenson, you're off to a 40-minute start from I-355 to DuSable Drive outbound. Just about 35 minutes, but you do want to factor in an accident. It is blocking the left lane there at Central. We are expecting some delays because of it. If you're on the Eisenhower, a 50-minute trip from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, outbound just about 45. And the Kennedy moving along at 33 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport will take you just about 38 minutes. Taking a look at our weather, we're in store for another really nice day in Chicago. Temperatures topping out at around 88 with lots and lots of sunshine and dry. The National Weather Service says tonight it'll drop down to around 61. Right now we're at 67 at Midway, is 67 in Ashburn, and 67 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Illinois on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. Brother Hall asked a question before the break. I've got a call on the line. I'll get to both of those shortly, but I've got my first guest on the phone, and I want to make sure we take full advantage of what he has to share with us. It's Dr. John Walkup, who is the president of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and chair of the Pritzker Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Health at Lurie Children's Hospital right here in Chicago. This month, which is ending, is actually Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So we've seen a whole lot of issues that makes us certainly aware of it. But let's talk about what's going on there and where our children are and what can be done. Dr. Walkup, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
No, it's good to have you. Let's talk, give us a broad sense, if you would, about what's going on with our children and mental health at this point.
Yeah, so I think the numbers that we cite very often and have been consistent for a long time is about 20% of kids across the nation, a little less in the state of Illinois. About 20% of those kids will have a mental health problem before they graduate from high school. And about half of those kids in the state of Illinois actually get some kind of assessment or treatment. The other half really find a way to get along, function maybe, but really aren't at their optimum. So we have a significant problem with access. There aren't a lot of mental health providers who can really function at that highest level to take care of all these kids. And, the world we live in is getting increasingly challenged. So we're seeing more and more kids who present with behavioral health concerns simply because the environments that they live in and the challenges they face are overwhelming for them.
Dr. Walker, break it down for us a little bit more. So when we say they'll experience a mental health issue, what kind of things are you seeing? What kind of mental health, what kind of issues are there that we would recognize?
Yeah, so we see disorders, conditions that kids have. The vast majority of mental health problems start in childhood as opposed to most other medical problems, which kind of affect people as they get older. So we're talking about things like autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the anxiety disorders, depression, psychoses. All of those are things that happen in childhood and in adolescence, have their first onset during that period of time. We also see kids who, have problems with managing their impulses and controlling their behaviors. Those kinds of issues we see also. And we also see kids who are at risk for kind of teenage onset substance abuse. So we see a variety of conditions, and those are the things we're talking about.
Is this more prevalent in this day and age than it was previously, or is it just more diagnosed now than it has been before?
Yeah, that 20% number has really been around for a very long period of time. I think what tends to happen over time is as we get better treatments and as we raise awareness, people are coming to terms with that and coming to treatment more frequently. So you sometimes see the prevalence of conditions rising, like the prevalence of autism has risen pretty dramatically. And a lot of that is related to the fact that we have treatments that are available for it now, behavioral treatments that are available for it, and some medication treatments. And so families are getting the diagnosis so they can avail themselves of those treatments. And so you see the prevalence begin to climb when you have treatments that are effective and help kids function at a higher level.
Yeah, autism is one in particular that it does seem to be more prevalent than before. Again, is that because is there something in the environment, or is it more ability to diagnose what these symptoms and what these things are now than before?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. There are a group of people who really believe that there's an environmental kind of change that's been responsible for the increase in prevalence. Others of us really come to the point of view that as we've identified treatments, we've also broadened the spectrum of severity from what's currently called profound autism, with kids who have real fundamental problems in speech, language, kind of behavior management, learning, all of that kind of stuff, communicating. And then those kids who are much higher functioning, who have some of the traits of autism. So you're seeing an increase in the spectrum of severity, as well as that I think contributes to the increase in prevalence.
Now, you mentioned access a little bit earlier. Is that an issue of why we may see these disparities that persist across racial and ethnic and in underserved communities?
Yeah, I think access is one of them, but stigma and racism definitely impact people's kind of willingness to come forward and to pursue care. One of my colleagues, Andrea Spencer, has kind of worked with parents of kids with ADHD, and it's very difficult to kind of get to that place as a parent where you really see your child as having a problem and then begin to kind of go through the process of coming to terms with that, getting an assessment, making decisions about evidence-based treatments. All of that stuff really takes some time. And it's a real barrier for people to kind of come to terms and begin to take that step to go pursue care. And then when they try to pursue care, sometimes there's wait lists, sometimes there's insurance impediments or barriers to getting care. So there's lots of issues that make it hard for us to get to kids.
Yeah, but even when that happens, the children are still struggling with these mental conditions. What is it that we could best tell people? How can we make people feel more comfortable, at least if you see something that may seem to be an issue that should be addressed? How do we make people more comfortable with going through whatever that process is to get there? And how do we make access more accessible?
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple of things. One, I encourage families to take a look at their family history and to identify whether there are any conditions that run in the family, for example. Because many of the things that I mentioned earlier have genetics associated with them. And so kids oftentimes have the condition that runs in their family. And if the parents are aware of their own condition or the condition of their partner, or conditions that tend to run in families, they can share that with their pediatrician early in the child's life. And they can begin to kind of understand when that condition would present itself for the first time and begin to learn about that condition that affects them or a family member, but also begin on the lookout for when those symptoms might first present in a child. The other thing is that we know parents' behavior management strategy. It has a lot to do with kind of how kids manage their behavior and regulate their emotions over time. And so early in a child's life, parents can do a lot of work, to kind of build up their parenting skills so that they run a home with a sense of order and clarity and have good discipline strategies and good structuring of the home environment, because that presents a lot of behavioral difficulties that present themselves later. So there's lots of things that parents can do, and their pediatrician is tuned into all of that. So working with the pediatrician is the best place to start.
Man, Doc, you just opened up a whole lot of things to talk about right there. But let's do this. We'll get to some of them just on the other side. I need to find out from Annette what's going on in the news. We'll have more with Dr. Walkup. He is the president of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and chair of the Pritzker Department of Psychiatry at Lurie Children's Hospital. We'll be back right after this.
We're in store for a lovely day in Chicago. Lots of sunshine, temperatures making their way into the upper 80s. Good morning. I'm Annette Flournoy, and here's what's happening. It's a big day for Chicago Public Schools as they present their revised budget with hopes of getting it passed. In an exclusive WVON interview yesterday, CPS CEO Dr. McLean King told Rufus Williams that it has to pass, frankly, in order to make payroll come September.
And in order for us to be able to, the district to be able to make payroll in September, we must close on a short-term loan in order to make payroll.
This comes as the district is facing a $732 million deficit and is seeking long-term loans to pay employees. The revised budget no longer calls for 5 furlough days and for all CPS employees. It protects classroom size and does not add to the district debt. However, more than 1,600 employees are being laid off. The Chicago Teachers Union hopes the board votes it down, saying it doesn't put the needs of the children first. They, in fact, want lawmakers in Springfield to call a special session. While this is happening, the Milwaukee Public School District is holding a 2-day hiring event here in Chicago. They're at Hotel Zachary in Lakeview. Milwaukee is looking to recruit laid-off teachers who might want to teach elsewhere. Well, Mayor Brandon Johnson is making what could be the last member ever appointed to the Chicago School Board. Johnson announced he is appointing Connie Anderson to the Chicago Board of Education District 10B, which represents the far south side. Anderson is replacing Olga Batista, who resigned from the seat back in March. Anderson will be serving in the seat she's seeking in November, when Chicagoans will vote on all 21 members of the city's school board for the first time in history. Well, a man found shot to death on the south side is a beloved high school basketball coach and a basketball legend, and his family is devastated. Perry Williams has more.
Bankston's sister says his body was found yesterday morning in one of his friend's home on 77th and Emerald.
The hours that he laid there without someone knowing that he was there was probably the nail in his coffin.
Bankston is known as a basketball legend in Chicago. He led Simeon High School to the state basketball title in 1984. No one is in custody. I'm Perry Williams.
And if you haven't heard, Lollapalooza kicks off today in Grant Park. The annual music festival will run through Sunday. The city is expected to host hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world for this music festival. Some of the acts this year include Lorde, John Summit, the Smashing Pumpkins. That's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 7:35.
3 days, 3 phenomenal women, award-winning commentator Joy Reid, and the ultimate it girl Keke Palmer, and gospel's best Leandria Johnson, only at the Black Women's Expo, Friday, July 31st through Sunday, August 2nd at McCormick Place. Plus, live entertainment from the main stage featuring American Idol's Keela Richardson and the Los Angeles-based duo Shakespeare blending R&B, soul and pop, a house music party with DJ Celeste Alexander, and much more. Community, beauty, wellness, food, family fun, powerful conversations, and shopping all in one place. Half-price adult tickets at all Walgreens locations. Sponsored by University of Chicago Medicine, Humana, City Colleges of Chicago, Rush University Medical Center, and Vive Healthcare. Check out the lineup at www.bwenext.com for more details.
Hi, it's Melody Span Cooper. Join me at the Black Women's Expo this Friday at 2:30 p.m. as I interview entrepreneur, political podcaster, and author Joy Reid. See you at 2:30 on Friday.
It's Cleopatra Draper.
But when you say certain things like that, it's just
Well,
not
I
right.
know it's your show.
I know. That's why you called me.
I'm reading the article right here.
Yeah, but you
Article
can read. But
Section 2.
yeah, but as you're reading the Constitution, they are moving the goalposts. Bianca, you too old for this.
Nobody's moving the goalposts.
Oh, nobody's moving the goalposts? Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They definitely are. And you that big black hope on the 50-yard line saying, let me play.
Middays at 9 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
This report is brought to you by RockAuto.com. A bent tie rod can quickly bring a drive to a halt. For parts needed to get back on the road, visit RockAuto.com. Find a wide selection of quality parts at reliably low prices, delivered right at your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Travel times are ramping up pretty quickly on a couple of these expressways. As you make your way along the Ryan, you're now looking at a 23-minute trip from 95th Street into downtown. Things are still looking pretty good along the Bishop Ford and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, no major delays there. If you're on the Stevenson, you are looking at just about 45 minutes from I-355 to DuSable Drive. That outbound trip still factor in that earlier accident is still blocking the left lane there at Central. Give yourself 40 minutes traveling out. The Eisenhower still moving along at 50 minutes from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, but you want to factor in a disabled vehicle. It is blocking the left lane there at 25th Avenue. On the outbound side of the Eisenhower, give yourself 45 minutes. And things are heavier in both directions along the Kennedy. A 39-minute trip in from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport, a slow-moving 44-minute trip. Taking a look at our weather, we're in store for a lovely day in Chicago. The National Weather Service says grab your sunglasses. You're going to need them. Lots of sunshine today, bright, beautiful skies. Temperatures climbing near 88 and most of all, dry. Temperatures going down to 61 tonight. Temps are climbing quickly. We're up to 70 at O'Hare, is 70 in Greater Grand Crossing, and 70 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. We are having a conversation this morning with Dr. John Walkup. He is the president of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and chair at the Pritzker Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Health at the Lurie Children's Hospital right here in Chicago. Dr. Walkup, I have to ask, as we start to think about these things, and it has become, it's out of the shadows, it's more prevalent. We talk much more about mental health, but does that also respond to the fact that, or create a situation where there's a shortage of those who can help to care for this? Is there a shortage of child and adolescent psychiatrists?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a huge problem. You know, there's about 11,000 of us around the country, which means there's about 14 of us for every kind of 100,000 kids. It's busy. Most child psychiatrists are full up, and that results in kind of wait times and other challenges. But there are a variety of ways that we've been trying to kind of offset that access barrier. One of the things that we do at Lurie Children's is we train pediatricians to do kind of early screening and also to kind of do the initial interventions with families, and we also connect them to psychological services. So people who kind of work with the pediatricians we've trained about 350 of them in the city of Chicago. Each of them see about 1,000 kids a year. And so, and if 200 of those kids will have a behavioral health problem, we're beginning to kind of create access through kind of empowering pediatricians to do that initial diagnostic screening and initial treatment effort. And that frees up the child psychiatry workforce a bit for those kids who have more sustained or more challenging difficulties.
On that same vein, do you note some connection with international medical graduates, or do we do anything across the borders that kind of helps with this shortage?
National medical graduates?
International medical graduates.
It's a large part of our American medical workforce, and so there is a threat to that now. We're looking at kind of a doctor shortage just generally across all of medicine, and particularly as there's been kind of immigration challenges for international medical graduates. Some of that workforce is impacted pretty dramatically simply because some people are not able to kind of come to the United States or stay working in the United States.
Dr. Walkup, why is there a doctor shortage? Are we not directing people in the right ways? Are people not seeing the benefit of doing this? Because if there's a shortage now, it seems like it'll be even shorter going into the future. Why does it exist, and what can we do at this point to try and help stem it?
Yeah, it's a complex problem in the sense that it really requires an investment kind of at the federal level to think about kind of building these weak workforces and addressing these workforce shortages. So if you think about Medicare, for example, part of Medicare is some of those funds are set aside to kind of support the training of doctors in their residencies and internships, and support hospitals and kind of bringing those trainees in and building that workforce. Our own children's hospital and children's hospitals more generally have a kind of a separate set aside, and that's to kind of fund residency training in pediatrics more generally. And that set aside is always under threat to budget cuts. So we really have to kind of understand that we want to have sound fiscal policy, but we have to be careful where we budget cut, because it puts us in a real disadvantage. When we don't have the investment to kind of support the training needs.
Yeah, I want to go back as well to the access point that we talked about earlier. And in underserved communities, very often when we come across these issues of mental health, we feel much more comfortable in talking with someone who can be much more culturally responsive to us, someone who we can feel comfortable with having these conversations with. I suspect that if there's a shortage, that shortage also hits very hard in the Black community.
Oh, absolutely, and it hits across the board. It's not just child psychiatrists, but it's psychotherapists and social workers and pediatricians. We don't have as diverse a kind of a mental health system as we need to kind of match the diversity of the communities in which we live.
I had a long conversation yesterday with the new CEO of Chicago Public Schools, and I imagine, because that's where all children should be, that they would have to, the child nurses, the child psychologists in the schools would be a place where a number of these disorders are first noted. Is that the case, and are the schools doing enough? Are they able to do enough to try and help to deal with this issue?
Yeah, kids start maybe school at 3, 4, and 5, and there's a lot that pediatricians can do from 0 to 3, for example. So, it really takes a whole village of people to kind of begin to address the mental health problems. And schools are part of that picture. Schools, if you think about 20% of kids in an average school will have a mental health problem before they graduate from high school, that's a lot of kids. And so schools necessarily aren't budgeted to kind of provide that kind of mental health support. And they also struggle with that referral process. So while kids may be identified within the school and kind of work with the family to pursue care outside of school, they still are going to run into access barriers, the kinds of access barriers that we talked about. So we have to think about pediatricians really early in life and continuing through the life course of the child. We have to think about schools providing that kind of screening and referral process. There are some things that they can do within the school environment itself. But oftentimes for kids who have substantive mental health problems, schools just aren't prepared to do that kind of work and really need to be connected to mental health resources too. And then as they try to do that, they run into the barriers that families experience. So we need everybody working on this one.
Indeed. And Dr. Walkup, you've given us a lot of sobering information this morning. What happens if we don't address this with the urgency that it needs? What happens if we don't do what needs to be done?
Well, the saddest part is kids don't do well over time. And, there's a multitude of pathways for kids to not have the best outcomes. Behavioral difficulties, substance use difficulties, problems with educational attainment, ability to kind of move on and form intimate relationships and build families. If young people really if they have mental health problems that don't get treated, they don't function very well over the longer term. And they don't become really part of kind of our community of success moving forward. And so we leave behind people, which is sad for each child. But as a society, we really don't reach our potential and our optimum functioning if we really don't take care of kids early and get them on the right side of these problems.
Dr. Walkup, it's so good to hear from you to talk about these things, which are so critically important for our children and ultimately for our society. When we think about the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, talk about what it is that you all do there and what can we do to be helpful in this process.
Yeah, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry is really dedicated to kind of training, ongoing training of child psychiatrists and allied professionals, if you will, in kind of evidence-based practice, and that includes evidence-based assessment and treatment. But we also have a public advocacy arm, so we are oftentimes called on to support initiatives that are really important for our kids and families. And so we, as a leading authority on the mental health needs of kids, we do a fair amount of training and support, but we also do a lot of advocacy to kind of create a better environment for our kids and help our leaders kind of make better decisions about the mental health needs of kids.
That's Dr. John Walkup. He is the president of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and chair at the Pritzker Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Health at Ann and Robert Lurie Children's Hospital right here in Chicago. Dr. Walkup, thank you so much for all that you do, and thanks for coming on this morning with us to share this important information.
Yeah, it's great to be here. There is good news. Good news. We have great treatments. And people shouldn't be afraid to come forward and kind of start the process. And if they start with their pediatrician and that pediatrician is connected to good mental health services, then we have a chance to get to kids early and put them on the right pathway. So we've talked about tough stuff today, but I think people should know we have good treatments and we can get kids moving in the right direction if we can get them into care.
Thank you for that. And let me ask one final question then. Is the treatment typically some other behavior modification, or is it medicated?
Our best treatments are when we kind of build a combination of treatments. So using psychological approaches, doing family-based approaches, working with schools, but also there are some kids who really benefit by medication. And so while nobody wants to use medicine, I think it's important for people to understand that some of our conditions like ADHD, the anxiety disorders, depression, psychoses, those are conditions that when they're moderately severe or worse, some of those conditions actually require the use of medicine. So thinking about that as a combination approach or a multi-pronged approach is the best way to think about it.
Dr. John Walkup, again, thank you so much for being with us. Just a plethora of information. I look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
I'd love to come back anytime.
Fantastic. Be
Thank
well,
you.
my friend. All right. Let's take a quick break. I've got more for you right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
3 days, 3 phenomenal women, award-winning commentator Joy Reid, and the ultimate it girl Keke Palmer, and gospel's best Leandria Johnson, only at the Black Women's Expo, Friday, July 31st through Sunday, August 2nd at McCormick Place. Plus, live entertainment from the main stage featuring American Idol's Keela Richardson and the Los Angeles-based duo Shakespeare blending R&B, soul and pop, a house music party with DJ Celeste Alexander, and much more. Community, beauty, wellness, food, family fun, powerful conversations, and shopping all in one place. Half price adult tickets at all Walgreens locations. Sponsored by University of Chicago Medicine, Humana, City Colleges of Chicago, Rush University Medical Center, and Vive Healthcare. Check out the lineup at www.bwenext.com for more details.
Hi, it's Melody Span Cooper. Join me at the Black Women's Expo this Friday at 2:30 p.m. as I interview entrepreneur, political podcaster, and author Joy Reid. See you at 2:30 on Friday.
Shop small with Wintrust Bank and celebrate the heart of our community, our local businesses. Listen as we share a list of small businesses throughout our community that we can shop, dine, and support throughout the year. These businesses are the economic engine that drives our neighborhoods. Wintrust knows that. That's why they're Chicago's bank and why they're encouraging you to shop local. Keep listening for the Wintrust Community Business Spotlight campaign. With Wintrust, shopping small is a big deal.
It's Cleopatra Draper.
But when you say certain things like that, it's just
Well,
not
I
right.
know it's your show.
I know. That's why you called me.
I'm reading the article right here.
Yeah, but you
Article
can read.
3,
But
Section 2.
yeah, but as you read in the Constitution, they are moving the goalposts. Bianca, you too old for this.
Nobody's moving the goalposts.
Oh, nobody's moving the goalposts? Oh, yeah, they are.
Oh,
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. And you that big black hope on the 50-yard line saying, let me play.
Middays at 9 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is sponsored by RockAuto.com. A failed strut can turn any drive into a rough ride. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right part easy. Shop name brands at lower prices and have parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
There's word of a disabled vehicle at 127th Street on the inbound side of Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. Not affecting your travel time. Traffic still pretty light. The Bishop Ford, no problems, no delays traveling in. However, once you reach the Ryan, you're looking at another 33 minutes from 95th Street to downtown. Things are still moving fairly well along DuSable Lakeshore Drive. As you make your way along the Stevenson, still that 40-minute trip from I-355 to DuSable Drive 40 traveling out. The Eisenhower bumped up to 55 minutes from Thorndale to the Burns Circle. That outbound trip will take you just about 50 minutes. And as you make your way along the Kennedy, once again, heavy in both directions. 41 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown, getting to the airport, a 45-minute trip. Taking a look at our weather, we're in store for a sunny and pleasant day, dry and clear. Temperatures headed near 90. 88 is the official daytime high. Our official low tonight, 61. Still 70 degrees at Midway, is 70 in Woodlawn, and 70 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Now back to the morning show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVLN.
Welcome back. Ain't gonna hurt nobody to get on down. Annette was waving away a bug or something back there. I thought she was dancing to the music as her arm was moving in the proper rhythm. That was pretty good, Annette. W, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
How you doing this morning?
Doing great.
You know, I don't understand it. You know, why? Why are we breaking in and hurting our own community? It doesn't make any sense. My comment is, let's go to work, doggone it.
You know, that's a perfect comment, and that's why we posed the question, because it doesn't make any sense. And somewhere, somehow, I don't think any thievery, robbery, crime, I don't think any of it's good, but we absolutely need to protect ours and who we're there and who we're supporting. This Brown Sugar Bakery is owned by a black woman. If we can't support our sisters, then what the hell are we doing? This is so problematic on so many levels that we've got to find a way within ourselves, within our communities, within our families to stop it. We just have to stop. Appreciate you, W. Thank you so much for your call and your thoughts. Brother Hall asked a question earlier today, and we did have an opportunity yesterday to spend some time with Dr. Michael King. She is the new CEO of Chicago Public Schools. Having that opportunity for an hour to talk to her was good. And certainly you'll see today, as I've seen this morning, the lead story on all the news is about the budget that the board is expected to pass at their meeting today. Off the top, we talked about what that was, and she mentioned that they were not doing furloughs, they were not doing layoffs. That was no longer going to be a part of what they were doing. Brother Hall mentioned the red shirts, which obviously is another depiction of our Chicago Teachers Union. Here's the thing as it relates to the Chicago Public Schools budget, which is just a hair under $10 billion. So we can just say it's like saying something's 1999. It's a $10 billion budget, and of that $10 billion budget, 63% of $10 billion goes to salaries and benefits. So when they talk about needing to pass the budget in order to be able to get short-term borrowing in order to ensure that they can make payroll, it is not an insignificant thing. It seems to be, as I asked Dr. King yesterday, a timing issue, a cash flow issue. The money will come. It's a question of when. And that money comes from a number of places, from the state, from the property taxes, and all. But given the magnitude of the budget, given what the other parts of the budget are, and paying back some debt relief, I don't think we got into the pension payments yesterday because there's so much more that's there. But these things actually have to be paid. And so we come to this point of what's really going on. What's really going on is they need money as the budget is currently pulled together. All of the $10 billion that's there is not, some of it has to pay the cost of the borrowings that have been done before. Some of it is about not so much the large maintenance issues, but deferred maintenance, and there's a lot that just has to happen. So even though we may have a smaller number of students, when what's looked at in each of these schools is they have pushed to make sure each school has a principal, an assistant principal, a nurse, a counselor, and of course teachers. Those things consistently drive up what that number is. What I am hopeful for is that even if for whatever reason they miss a payroll because cash is what it is, I suspect that the teachers are still going to work. I suspect the janitors are still going to show up. I suspect that all these things will happen. This is certainly newsworthy. They don't have apparently the level of cash reserves that you would hope to have to offset this kind of thing when it comes up, which is really problematic going forward. But I have run a not-for-profit, and we have been unable to meet payroll at certain times. There were times when others got paid and I didn't, as the leader of the organization, and times when it just, one time, in fact, when it just hit and we just couldn't make it. And I called everyone in and shared that with them. And I was so excited for my people after that because they understood it. They appreciated me being open with them. And several came into my office afterwards and thanked me for the opportunity to work there, which just reduced me to tears to think that people gave that much after I had just told them that they weren't going to be able to pay their bills for another week or so simply because we didn't have the money. So I believe the teachers will still work. I believe the schools will open. I believe those things will happen. There will be some stress. And what happens at this budget today, which they're trying to delay, maybe that's what happens to get all these things worked out. But that's truly what I think based on the conversation that we had yesterday about the schools. Let's find out from Annette what's going on in the headlines and what's in Black Information News. When we come back, it's Buddy Guy's birthday. We'll replay my conversation with him from earlier in the year.
Sunny and pleasant today. Temperatures climbing near 88 on this Thursday, July 30th, 2026. I'm Annette Flournoy, and in the headlines, family, neighbors, and friends and former teammates are mourning the death of Tim Bankston, a former Simeon High School basketball star and coach who was found fatally shot inside a home. Well, a lot will be happening at the Board of Ed today. CPS is hoping that their revised budget will pass. The teachers union, however, will be holding a news conference at the board before today's vote. And surprising news for Illinois SNAP clients. Apparently, those who lost or had their benefits stopped due to new federal work requirements can expect $400 to pop up on their cards August 1st. National news from the Black Information Network is next on the iHeartRadio app and 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's 8:02.
Maryland has recorded 38 heat-related deaths so far this summer. That's 2 more than last year's total of 36. The Maryland Department of Health says the recent heat wave with temperatures reaching more than 100 degrees contributed to the number of deaths. Reports indicate Iran is receiving up to 400 handheld missile launchers from China. Reuters says Iran purchased shoulder-fired air defense systems along with Chinese missiles for about $70 million. They're expected to receive the first shipment within weeks. However, China's foreign ministry calls the report completely groundless. And R&B singer Ciara announced she's giving $50,000 to 10 different groups that play important roles in the development of youth. Those include the Atlanta Music Project, SCAD, and the Black Entertainment and Sports Lawyer Association. I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News. Now, back to you, Terry.
President Trump is pretty tight-lipped about whether Dr. Anthony Fauci should face a contempt of Congress vote in the Senate. Republican Senator Rand Paul said the Homeland Security Committee is voting on a contempt resolution against Fauci next week after he invoked the Fifth Amendment. In a COVID-19 hearing, Trump was asked about the vote, but would only say Fauci didn't do him any favors in the early days of the pandemic. Meanwhile, Trump discussing retaliatory strikes against Iran.
They know it's coming. They're asking us not to do it, but, they tried shooting it last night.
While speaking with reporters in the Oval Office, Trump was asked about Iran's ballistic missile attack on U.S. forces in the Middle East. U.S. Central Command said all of the missiles were successfully intercepted. Trump said the U.S. is set to hit Iran very hard in response. Trump said Iran knows it's coming, adding it's our turn. Trump again held out hope that diplomatic efforts will prevail. Black Republican Congressman John James is running to become Michigan's next governor. James is campaigning across the state and talked about being called to the stage by President Trump during his visit to the GM Proving Ground in Milford.
He endorsed me because he knows I've got the best chance to beat Secretary Jocelyn Benson in November and help Republicans hold Michigan House and take back the Senate. And having a relationship with the president like I have is going to help us all, the entire state, all 10 million of us.
James making campaign stops over the weekend in Grand Rapids, Holland, Hudsonville, Muskegon, and Zeeland. The Democratic candidates for governor are Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson and Genesee County Sheriff Chris Swanson. Sean Combs' release date has been moved up again. The music mogul's release from jail has been moved to January 24th of 2028. This is a month earlier than his previously expected release of February 23rd. Combs was previously sentenced to 50 months behind bars after his conviction on 2 prostitution charges back in October of 2025. His first release was originally scheduled for June of 2028. It all comes after Diddy was involved in a prison fight last week that ended with him in solitary confinement. The United Nations Security Council is unanimously adopting a resolution extending sanctions against armed militias and individuals operating in the Central African Republic. The action targets asset freezes, travel bans, and restrictions on supplying weapons and military equipment to armed groups. Council members are warning that armed groups and cross-border arms networks are a threat to stability, especially along border regions. The Central African Republic's ambassador to the UN is questioning how armed groups are consistently finding weapons despite the sanctions. Stay informed, stay connected, and subscribe. Follow BIN News this hour wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Terry McCready for the Black Information Network.
This report is brought to you by D&W Injury Lawyers. Rear-ended at a red light? That's wrong. Tripped, fell, and hurt your back? That's wrong. Whatever the case, D&W Chicago's Injury Law Group will fight to make it right. Get the compensation you deserve. Don't wait. Call the 8s. 312-888-8888.
3 days, 3 phenomenal women, award-winning commentator Joy Reid, and the ultimate it girl Keke Palmer, and gospel's best Leandria Johnson, only at the Black Women's Expo, Friday, July 31st through Sunday, August 2nd at McCormick Place. Plus, live entertainment from the main stage featuring American Idol's Keela Richardson and the Los Angeles-based duo Shakespeare blending R&B, soul and pop, a house music party with DJ Celeste Alexander, and much more. Community, beauty, wellness, food, family fun, powerful conversations, and shopping all in one place. Half-price adult tickets at all Walgreens locations. Sponsored by University of Chicago Medicine, Humana, City Colleges of Chicago, Rush University Medical Center, and Vive Healthcare. Check out the lineup at www.bwenext.com for more details.
Hi, it's Melody Span Cooper. Join me at the Black Women's Expo this Friday at 2:30 p.m. as I interview entrepreneur, political podcaster, and author Joy Reid. See you at 2:30 on Friday.
Have you checked out WVON's digital streaming network, Bond TV? It's everywhere on Roku, Apple TV+, Amazon Fire, on the WVON app, and at VON.TV. Bond TV, it's cultural content on purpose.
Too often, our youth are highlighted when dealing with challenges, tragedy, and trauma. Well, this Saturday on the Community Health Focus Hour, the University of Chicago Medicine's Youth Advisory Board, the YAB, will join host Dr. Franklin Cozy-Gay to discuss their good works and success stories. The YAB, made up of youth and adults, works to amplify youth voices and their strengths, preparing them as our next generation of community health leaders. Listen live this Saturday on WVON and Facebook. The Community Health Focus Hour, Saturdays at 1 p.m., powered by the Urban Health Initiative of U Chicago Medicine, at the forefront.
This report is brought to you by Aleve. At some point, body pain may creep in and become your reality that day. But Aleve is here to help you keep moving. One pill gives you up to 12 hours of body pain relief. So don't let pain hold you back. Try Aleve today. Use as directed.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
You wonder how we do it. It's just one simple rule. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. Oh, honey, baby, can't Woodhull.
Welcome back. Happy 90th birthday, Buddy Guy. Titus, let's share our interview from earlier this year. Today, we are honoring the life and legacy of one of the greatest musicians ever to walk this earth, the king of the blues, B.B. King. And I can think of no one better to help us reflect on his genius and his humanity than my next guest. Buddy Guy is a living legend in his own right. Born in Lettsworth, Louisiana, he came up from the cotton fields with a guitar in his hand and the blues in his soul. He moved to Chicago in the late 1950s, became a staple of Chess Records, and played with everyone from Muddy Waters to Junior Wells. His fiery guitar style influenced Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and still inspires generations today. He's an 8-time Grammy Award winner, a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, a Kennedy Center honoree, and has been rightly called the last of the great bluesmen. Buddy Guy, welcome to WVON.
Thank you for having me.
No, it is indeed my honor. I'm so happy to have you, particularly on a day like this. I'd like to start some with the personal. When did you first meet B.B. King, and what was that like?
I think it was 1958. He had never been to Chicago before, and I was playing at what was called a famous blues club there where Muddy, Howlin' Wolf, and all of them was playing 708 East 47th Street. And I had saw him in Baton Rouge, and I was up there. I didn't have no record out of nothing. I was playing his records, Muddy Waters' record, trying to play like him. And all of a sudden, I saw him walk in the door, him and Little Waltz, and I got so nervous. I said, "Oh, I don't know what to play now," because I was B.B. King. And those days, the union had us playing 40 minutes and off 20 because there wasn't no cover charge at the door. So the only way you made the extra money, when you were playing, they would buy drinks. When you were playing, they wouldn't. When you were playing, you know, they wasn't buying drinks. And when you could take a break, that was 40-20 for 4 hours, and that's how many breaks you had there. So the people, when you take the 40-minute break, people go buy a drink, and you didn't have time to run to the bathroom for the other 20 minutes. You take a break. So anyway, he was in this there, and I saw him. I said, "Well, I don't want to go by him because I feel bad trying to play his music." And he called me. He said, "You come here." And that was it. And he just said, "I think you'll be able to take my place." And I never forgot that. 1958.
Wow. Now, you were friends, obviously, for decades. What was your relationship like off stage, away from the spotlight?
I just told some people was interviewing me yesterday. You know, I never changed. You got a lot of, I'm not going to call no name, but you got a lot of famous people met me after I got a little name for myself. And a lot of them felt like they was different from everybody else after they got a little break and they had a bigger record than I had. But I'm still an old country boy, man. You know, if you cut me, I'll bleed just like you. I'll breathe the same air. Just because I learned how to play guitar and was blessed enough for some people to come listen to me, that don't make me no different than you, man. So I didn't never get to that point, but a lot of people did, and I could call some names that I used to break a hot dog with them on 47th Street, and when they got their first big record out, I hollered and I said, "Hey, blah, blah, we ain't going to call no name." And they look at me and say, "Who are you?" And I said, "Okay, I didn't know it was like that." Else you get a pretty good record, and you just forgot who you come up with.
Well, now everybody wants to know Buddy Guy. But people say, excuse me, people say that BB could play just one note and the whole world knew it was him. From your perspective, what made his guitar style so distinctive?
Well, after I got to know him, we became very good friends. And he told me he was trying to learn how to play with the slide, like Elmo James and the late Hook, all those great slide players. And he couldn't learn that. And he learned how to vibrate that left hand. And he didn't. When he did that, when all these special effects now you can punch a button almost and get vibrations now on your guitar and amplifier. Well, he didn't have that. He felt like if he trembled his left hand, and he got that sound, man. And I think, coming from me, he's the greatest blues player that ever picked up a guitar.
Well, now you've developed your own unmistakable sound, but what lessons did you take from BB's playing and his presence on stage?
Well, I didn't only take it from BB. You know, that was Lightning Hopkins and Arthur Crudup and a lot of those guys before B.B. King. And most of them was playing the acoustic guitar, which you couldn't hardly hear, and then they finally amplified it, and Leo Fender come out with these Fender guitars and Gibson and made it where you could hear it, because back when I was a teenager, if you had played high school bands, you could hear the trumpets, the drums, and the horns, but you couldn't hear the harmonica and the guitar. And I changed the subject 3 months ago. The governor gave Little Walter a name because I didn't know he was born about 30 miles from where I was born at. And they had given me that highway where I was born 2 years ago. That governor called up and said, if that's what you want, you got it. And that sign is out there now, Buddy Guy's Way and Little Walter's Way, which Little Walter, Markfield, and Lexford.
Wow, got to go down there and visit those things. Buddy, did BB ever share any advice with you about life and music or life in general that stayed with you?
Well, I could make you laugh at that if you wanted. Every time I tried to get that out, every time I tried to get out him and Mud and all of them, I was trying to figure out and let them teach me something about the guitar, and all the conversation wind up about a woman, man. I had a young kid. I had a young kid wanted to meet him, and we was in Tokyo, and I said, come on over, and I'll have B.B. King meet you. And as soon as we got him, as soon as he said, B.B. King, blah, blah, with my name, the first thing he started talking about, did you bring a good-looking woman with you? We ain't never got to figure out about the guitars yet.
Well, sometimes people have their priorities, and clearly BB had his. We're talking to the legendary Buddy Guy about the legendary B.B. King. We'll be back. More of my conversation with Buddy Guy on the occasion of his 90th birthday right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years guaranteed? Now through August 24th, new Xfinity customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, it keeps you protected from online threats. And get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter.
We're up to way over $400 million here. Yeah, giving money back. How about that? People in Bellwood got $10 million, Broadview $6 million, Burnham $3 million, South Holland $17 million. The city of Chicago's up to $190 million that we have given back to African Americans. Who does that? Nobody does that but WVON.
Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas with Black Houses Matter, Monday mornings at 11:30 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Don't let data limits hold you back from being the GIF master in the family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get Unreal Unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at Walmart or straighttalk.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
As you make your way along the Ryan, that inbound trip right now from 95th Street into downtown, just about 25 minutes. On the outbound trip, we're getting a register of 35 minutes there. You want to factor in an accident right now is blocking the two left lanes at 59th Street, causing that major delay. As you make your way along the Bishop Ford, still no problems, no delays traveling in. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial moving well as well. If you're on DuSable Lakeshore Drive, things are beginning to pick up there. You're looking at a 17-minute trip from 67th Street to Jackson. Slow approaching Soldier Field and stop and go to Monroe. That's mainly due to those stoplights and the fact that streets are closed in and around Grant Park as Lollapalooza kicks off today. As you make your way from Hollywood to Monroe, you're moving along at just about 17 minutes. No changes on the Stevenson, still that 40-minute trip from I-355 to DuSable Drive. 40 traveling out. Give yourself 55 minutes along the Eisenhower still, from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 on the return trip. And the Kennedy, you're looking at now a 40-minute trip once again in from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport just bumped up to 44 minutes. Taking a look at our weather, another beautiful day in Chicago and dry and clear. The National Weather Service says we're headed to a daytime high of 88, a low tonight of 61. Right now it's 73 at Midway, 73 in Beverly, and 73 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Back to my conversation with the legendary Buddy Guy. Today is his 90th birthday. We did have an opportunity to talk with him when B.B. King turned 100 on his 100th heavenly birthday, and thought it appropriate to play that for you this morning. So back to my discussion. On the occasion of his 100th birthday, if he had still been with us.
Baby, don't you want to go? Do y'all hear me? Come on. Y'all can do better than that, can't you? Going to the same old place? Yeah, all right.
Welcome back. We are talking about legendary B.B. King on the occasion of what would be his 100th birthday to a supreme legend, Buddy Guy. And Buddy, I've been at your concerts. I know you don't settle for people not participating when it's time for them to participate. Thinking about B.B. King, both of you came from the South. You from Louisiana, he from Mississippi, and you both rose to international fame. What did this journey mean for the blues and for black culture in America to you?
Well, I'm listening to you now, the WVON. You know, the Chess Brothers had to buy that to make that a blues station because, you know, before FM stations came along, the disc jockey played whatever he wanted, gospel, jazz, or blues. And nowadays, you can't hardly find a big FM station playing blues anymore. In fact, you can count unless you got satellite, and some families just can't. You got to pay for satellite. And the young children, like when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, listening to John Lee Hooker, T-Bone Walker, and all them, it was on the radio free. Now, some of my grandkids didn't know who I was until they came to one of these outdoor concerts and say, "Granddad, I didn't know you could do that." Because I didn't go home and say, "Here's kids what to do," because if you do that and they're not successful, they're going to only point their finger in your face. But I don't know what happened for them to stop playing the blues. I thought some of the lyrics we were singing was a little too strong. You had to figure out what B.B. King would call beating around the bush. But when hip-hop came out, they didn't beat around the bush. They were saying some profane things, and they were selling way more records than the blues players. And I know some of the biggest hip-hoppers out there, and they said, buddy guy, if you want to sell another album, just curse every once in a while.
Well, they don't really have to tell you that. But, buddy, how do you make sense of that? I mean, why is it that the blues aren't being played more on the FM stations? What do you think the reason is?
Well, sir, I was hoping you could help me answer that because I met with the program director out in Colorado, right out of Denver there, and I was talking to them, and they say most big stations got a program director, and he'll come in and give you one album, and you can't play nothing else but what he told you to play. And if you do, you get fired. So I just left that alone right then, and I just said, well, I just do my best trying to take it. And then after, in the early days with B.B. King and all of them, and Lightning Hopkins and all of them, there wasn't no big outdoor theaters. You had the Apollo Theater in New York, the Rigger Theater in Chicago, the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. That was the biggest thing to play. And when they began to come out, and it's blues club, you had to be out. I waited till I got 21 because you couldn't go nowhere in no club unless you was 21. So when you 21, you almost got responsibilities. You got to learn how to play that instrument at an early age. So I don't know what happened there, and like I said earlier, I seen the time that this jockey played everything, man, everything. That was a disc jockey on another station named Big Bill Hill, and I remember he had a tape and he played it twice, and a customer called up and said, I'm tired of listening to that. Could you play something else? Then he said, I'm gonna play it 5 times now.
I remember Big Bill Hill, Red Hot and Blues, his show that we used to dance on. But that's pretty amazing because seeing you at these outdoor venues and seeing all these people, and not black folks, but all these people who come out to see you and hear the blues, it's pretty amazing that they aren't being played. So I appreciate you asking the question. I want to come back to you after doing some research on that because that's pretty fascinating just to even think about.
Well, excuse me. Well, if you have time, what they used to do is when I got time between the end of the year, I'll come up there and sit and talk with you guys because a lot of things are being held from the black audience. Preston, I answered this yesterday. I was doing an interview with a great photographer. Do you know white America didn't hardly know who Muddy Waters and B.B. King and those great blues players until the British started playing the blues? There was a television show called Shindig, and they was playing records, and they were trying to get the Rolling Stones to do Shindig, and Mick Jagger said, I'll do it if you let me bring Muddy Waters. And white America said, who in the hell is that?
Wow.
And he got offended. He said, you mean to tell me you don't know who Muddy Waters is? And we named ourselves after his famous record, Rolling Stone. And that's the first time I saw Muddy's face on television here. But they had to give us a little exposure in Europe because that was called American Folk Blues Festival. And that's when all those British guys started playing blues, and they thought it was something new. But they didn't take it. They come in and said, that ain't nothing new. You had it. You just didn't know it.
Wow, buddy, I'm going to take you up on that offer to sit down. Let's figure some things out and make some things happen as the season's in. Let's make that.
I'm the last old man to be able to know some of these questions you ask because some of these young people don't know it because they kept that from them. And by the way, did you know the great Little Richard? And I didn't notice about 2 years ago on CNN, they brought it up that when he first started playing and the white audience started coming and listening to those people, James Brown, Little Richard and all of them, this state trooper pulled Little Richard over and beat him up, telling him he's playing nigger music for these white people.
Wow.
But that didn't stop him. He went on and did it anyway.
Well, buddy, I'll have to tell you, it's an honor to have you because nobody knows these things like you do up close and personal. So it's just an honor to have you here. One, just talking to you, but even having an opportunity to talk to you about B.B. King. This is just the legends that are colliding, combining in such a way that it's an honor to all of us who have an opportunity to listen, and certainly to me who have an opportunity to speak with you. I want to ask you before we run out of time, you're still doing the work. You've dedicated yourself to keeping the blues alive. How do you see yourself carrying that torch alongside with the memory of B.B. King?
Well, first of all, including B.B. King, and how can it, in the beginning we was playing the juke joints and the blues clubs. When I come here 68 years ago, it was the Regal Theater, the biggest thing yet, and the rest of it was blues club, West Side and South Side. And it was predominantly 99.9 black people listening to blues. And every time a white face would come into the blues clubs, we used to look and say, "Look out, man, that's a cop. Don't pull up that little bottle of wine," because we had to go across the street to get a bottle of wine because it was 50 cents cheaper than it was in the blues club. So, and come to find out that wasn't a cop. You know who it was? It was Michael Bloomfield, Eric Clapton, and all those whites was coming in and listening to the Wolf, the Mud, and everybody else, and we had to laugh after we got to know them. I said, "Man, y'all scared me, made me want to not even drink my little shot of wine." That's all I could afford because we was making $2, $3, maybe $4 a night.
Wow. Buddy, what do you miss most about B.B. King? Not the legend, but about your friend. What do you miss most about him?
Well, let me say it like this. I'm from Louisiana. I don't know if you've been down there yet. And some of the foods they're cooking there, one of them is a gumbo. And that thing they used to give it away until the black people made it. It's special now, man. And I'm putting him like the gumbo. If you eat that, man, you ain't gonna never want to stop eating that.
That is a conversation with the legendary Buddy Guy on the occasion of his 90th birthday. Titus, did we put that in a podcast?
Yes, it is. It's up now. If you want to go watch it, I just refreshed the page.
There you go. Check it out. Celebrating him every opportunity that you can. Let's find out from Annette what's going on in the news. When we come back, we moved it from Tuesday to today. We'll have our conversation on wealth strategies with Khomeini Khan.
Sunny, pleasant, and warm, going up to 88 this morning. Good morning. I'm Annette Flournoy, and here's what's happening. Family, neighbors, and friends and former teammates are mourning the death of Tim Bankston, a former Simeon High School basketball star and coach. He was found fatally shot inside a home. Perry Williams has more.
Bankston's sister says his body was found yesterday morning in one of his friend's home on 77th and Emerald.
The hours that he laid there without someone knowing that he was there was probably the nail in his coffin.
Bankston is known as a basketball legend in Chicago. He led Simeon High School to the state basketball title in 1984. No one is in custody. I'm Perry Williams.
It's a big day for Chicago Public Schools as they present their revised budget to the Board of Ed with hopes of getting it passed. In an exclusive WVON interview yesterday, CPS CEO Dr. Maclean King told Rufus Williams that it must pass, frankly, in order to make payroll come September.
And in order for us to be able to, the district to be able to make payroll in September, we must close on a short-term loan in order to make payroll.
This comes as the district is facing a $732 million deficit. The revised budget no longer calls for 5 furlough days for all CPS employees, protects classroom size, and does not add to the district's debt. However, more than 1,600 people are being laid off. The Chicago Teachers Union hopes the board votes it down, saying it doesn't put the needs of children first. They, in fact, want lawmakers in Springfield to call a special session. Union members are expected to hold a news conference at the board before today's vote. While this is happening, the Milwaukee Public School District is holding a 2-day hiring event here in Chicago. They're at Hotel Zachary in Lakeview. Milwaukee is looking to recruit laid-off teachers who might want to teach elsewhere. Well, the period for circulating nominating petitions for the 2027 Chicago mayor's race is now underway. Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley entered into the crowded race back in June. Yesterday, he sat down with WVON's Matt McGill. Logan Page has more.
Quigley says the first major issue he wants to tackle is affordable housing, while also focusing on public safety, city finances, and restoring trust in government.
We can begin with housing, which to me is the fundamental problem financially for the whole city.
we're not going to tax our way out of this problem because there's not enough revenues. We can grow our way out, which has the unique qualities of being able to help in every neighborhood. The fact that we have empty schools is because we have empty lots.
A lot of them.
Lot of them. Where are the empty
seriously, a lot of them.
The empty schools are surrounded by empty lots.
A lot of them.
And we're not making at least 4 tough choices to build a hell of a lot more housing. If people take just one thing of the way, what Quigley would do as mayor is it's going to be about affordability, and affordability starts with housing.
Quigley says he loves Chicago and is committed to fighting for the city he calls home. Logan Page, R News Now, WVON, 1690 AM.
He joins a long list of candidates. Mayor Johnson has not officially announced that he's running for a second term, but his staffers are collecting petitions. Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Janulius has not made it official either, but is expected to run. Well, there's surprising news for Illinois SNAP clients. Apparently, those who lost or had their benefits stopped due to federal work requirements can expect $400 to pop up on their card August 1st. Now, those who qualify will automatically have the funds added to their link card this Sunday. If you no longer have the link card, the Illinois Department of Human Services says you can request a new one on their website. That's a look at our news now. On 1690 WVON, traffic and weather up next. WVO News Time, 8:37. Shop small with Wintrust Bank and celebrate the heart of our community, our local businesses. Listen as we share a list of small businesses throughout our community that we can shop, dine, and support throughout the year. These businesses are the economic engine that drives our neighborhoods. Wintrust knows that. That's why they're Chicago's bank and why they're encouraging you to shop local. Keep listening for the Wintrust Community Business Spotlight campaign. With Wintrust, shopping small is a big deal.
Protect your money and build your wealth. Sundays at 3 p.m., host and owners of Top & Top Insurance Agency, Clydell and Betty Top, teach you about protecting your assets, 401ks, annuities, life after retirement, the differences and benefits of life insurance, and they take questions. Their advice can enhance your financial future and your legacy. Call for a free WVON financial consultation, 773-881-8110. Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. to protect your money and build your wealth. Powered by Top & Top Insurance Agency.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
This report is brought to you by Lowe's. Pro Rewards members save more during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Save up to 20% on in-stock molding when you spend $250 and up to 20% on in-stock pre-hung interior doors when you buy 6 or more. Valid through July 31st. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
The following is paid programming. The views are not necessarily those of this station. It's time for the Wealth Strategy Show with Khomeini Khan, powered by Optimal Planning Partners.
Khomeini Khan, certified financial planner professional, offers securities through Equitable Advisors, LLC, New York, New York, 212-314-4600. Member FINRA, SIPC, Equitable Financial Advisors in Michigan and Tennessee. Annuity and insurance products offered through Equitable Network, LLC, and does not provide tax or legal advice. Individuals may transact business and or respond to inquiries only in states in which they are properly registered and or licensed. This informational and educational radio segment does not offer or constitute and should not be relied upon as financial business or tax advice.
It gets so hard, just trying to figure it out, find out, trying to believe God, trying to watch the words of my mouth and stay on the ride. Trouble come and go, even on the mountain high or the valley low. Never let your faith go. Oh, never let your faith go. I've been there before, so confused, don't know which way to go. Yeah, stressed out, world so crazy, might as well stay in the house. Fear trying to rise up, got terrorists disguised, they look like us, but we know who we trust. Trust when I say that we gon' be alright. We gon' be alright.
Welcome back, keeping you sharp, moving it from Tuesday to Thursday. We're joined this morning by none other than Khomeini Khan. Khomeini, it's been a minute, man. It's good to see you. Welcome back to WVON. And while you're saying hello, tell us again why it's so important that we have a segment like this on the station.
Hey, good morning, Rufus. How you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. So it's important that we have this show. I'm sorry, hold on one second. I got an echo.
Obviously, Khomeini's not here with me today. He's doing this thing remotely because, well, technology, one, allows him to do so, but two, sometimes has a little bit of misfunction. So there we go. He's he's doing the tightest thing, trying to make this thing work. Go on, Khomeini.
Okay, can you hear me a little better now?
You're perfect.
Sorry, I'm still getting that echo. My apologies. Technology, you just got to work with it. Try one more time. Okay. Well, it's good to be talking to you again, Rufus. It's good to be talking to the listeners. Welcome to your Thursday check-in with your money. Of course, we always want to talk about why it's important that we have this segment. And this segment is so important because it gives us the opportunity to talk about different strategies of wealth, building wealth for ourselves, for our family, for our community. And it's so important that we have the opportunity to explore these different strategies, to learn different ways that we can improve our own financial situation. Everything from investing and learning about the stock market to entrepreneurship and starting businesses. All of these things are important. Of course, each and every week we're going to do a deep dive into these topics and make sure that listeners have an opportunity to understand how it works and how to take advantage of these strategies.
So where are we going to dive in today, Khomeini?
So today, our topic for today is actually student loans and understanding student loans as it relates to our finances.
Well, talk about that. Why is managing student loans and finances such an important conversation right now?
It's really important because when we think about loans, it's not just about the debt. Student loans really is a financial planning issue because it touches on so many aspects of our financial lives. Everything from our cash flow, our emergency reserves, the way we handle our credit, retirement. Student loans impact everything around our finances. So it's really important that we understand it. A lot of people do make the mistake of looking at it just as a student loan, but it does impact a lot of different areas of our finances. So we're going to explore that today.
Well, let's get into it. I mean, one of the things that you want to do is have as few loans as possible. Because it's one of these things about borrowing money. People want to get paid back. And there is no forgiveness in this space right now. So talk about where we go with this. What are the things, there are 4 or 5 critical things that people need to think about. What are those?
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for that, Rufus. So the things that I want listeners to take away from as it relates to our conversation and student loans in particular, number one is know what you owe. Right, that's important. You have a student loan, but how much do you actually owe? You got to add that interest on there, fees, etc. So know what you owe. Number two, understand your repayment options. There are a couple different ways that payments can be made back, and so understand what those options are important. Number three, balance your debt and repayment with your saving and investing. Right? You don't want to choose either or. You want to be able to do all of the above. So it's important that we understand how to balance that. Number four, we want to make sure that we're careful before we refinance. So, a lot of times we get offers about consolidation and refinancing those student loans. Just want to make sure you understand, be careful, read the fine print. Right. And then we also want to review that plan each and every year. In particular, because some of these plans require us to recertify, particularly if you have certain type of loans. So we can't just forget about it. We have to look at it again each and every year.
Stay on top of it. You're talking about a lot of things today, and I know as you do, typically we cover the surface of a lot. We can't get but so far in depth. Is there someplace else that people can go to get more information?
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot as it relates to student loans. So they can always go to studentaid.gov. That's a great reference to be able to look up more information about student loans, and then some of the information we're talking about today will actually come directly from that website.
So some of these things that you're talking about, we've talked about before, and some of these principles are the same, but when we talk about managing student loans, how does one get started?
Yeah, you're right. There's always a lot of overlap when it comes to financial planning, handling our finances, investing, paying off debt. A lot of overlap. So where do we start? Right. So step one, just like anything, is we have to get organized. Right. We got to make a plan. We got to get organized. Many people know that they have student loans, but they don't know if it's a federal loan, it's a private loan. Who services that loan? What's the interest rate? So the first thing you have to do is get organized to understand the loan that you have, and that way you can make a plan to attack it and get it paid off, or you can potentially pay it off early. So one of the first things we can do is we can actually go to that website I just mentioned, which is studentaid.gov, and it actually has all the information about student loans. So whether it's a private loan or if it's federal loan, they really give you all the information about that loan online. So you can actually log in, look at it, find out what the interest rate is, find out how many more years you have to pay off. So that's kind of the first step. And then you want to determine, is your loan a private loan or is it a federal subsidized loan? Because it's a big difference in the interest rates and how it's managed and your protections around that loan. So you want to make sure you can understand that. And then last but not least, you want to look at that paperwork to be able to create a strategy to pay that loan off, right? Because that's what we want to do ultimately. We want to be able to pay it off. And so understanding the ins and outs of that loan gives us a baseline to start to attack it, to pay it off.
Yeah, as I mentioned, loan is just defined as people want their money back. So you do want to get it. You do want to get it paid off. They're generally here, though, two major categories of repayment plans. Talk about what those are.
Yeah, just like I mentioned a minute ago, Rufus. So there are two different categories of payment plans, right? So you have one plan, which is a fixed payment plan. So we don't think about like our car note, our mortgage. You're just paying a fixed payment. Maybe it's a couple $100 a month. That's one category. And on the flip side, you have income-based payment plans. And that payment is going to be based on the income that you make in combination with how big your household is, right? So you might have 2 people, you might have 7 people. That impacts how much that payment can be. So it's really important to be able to understand the differences between these plans because it really can impact how much you pay, right? If on a regular plan, you might have to pay $300 a month. But if you do an income-sensitive plan, that potential payment could come down to potentially $100. So it's important to be able to understand the differences between these plans. In particular, if your payments are too high or you're having a little bit of trouble, a lot of time they give you multiple options of how to pay those loans. So you can really kind of log into that website and explore the different options and ways to do it. And that's really a good way to get a handle on what you have, start to attack and pay that down even more.
Khomeini, talk to us. These student loans come in along with a number of other things that we have to do. We do have bills that just exist because we live. We're trying to save. We're thinking about retirement. We've got some other goals. Kind of lay out for us how we should look at these things.
Yeah, Rufus, it's so important that we don't look at students just in isolation by themselves, right? They're one of many different financial commitments that we always have, right? So the key is to avoid kind of just letting student loans crowd out everything else. We have to look at it from a holistic perspective, just like when we're doing financial planning, right? And so we got to look at it from a budgeting standpoint. And when we think about budget, we break it down into a few different categories, right? So you have your essentials, which is essentially, your rent, your mortgage, your insurance, those things that you have to pay each and every day. Those are the essentials. We look at our emergency savings. We talk about it each and every episode. It's so important to have that emergency reserve. So emergencies and things come up, it's important to look at that. You have high interest debt, thinking about like credit cards and high interest loans and things like that. That's a separate category. We look at retirement savings. We have to be able to handle retirement savings while we're doing all of these different things, putting a little money aside. If you're younger, you just want to get started. When you get closer to retirement, you want to start accelerating those savings and those benefits. And then finally, you look at future goals. Being able to set some money aside for things like, buying a home, starting a family, college education for kids. And so the point is, looking at student loans, not in isolation, but as a part of a holistic plan, everything from essentials to emergency reserve to debt to retirement. We have to look at it in context and making sure we're making that payment along with handling these other financial priorities and goals as well.
Folks, I'll just say this to the Root Crew. I know there's an echo that's coming through. We can't fix it on the spot, but I'll just beg you to listen hard this time. And we'll drag Khomeini in next week to make sure that we don't have this issue, and drag me in too, because I know sometimes I'm away as well. But let's keep going. We think about this, and it was a big deal when Biden was in office. This issue about student loan forgiveness. What should we all know about student loan forgiveness?
Yeah. I'm getting an echo too, Rufus. So you can imagine trying to talk over myself. That's fun, right? So I think a big part of student loans and kind of that expansion of understanding is understanding the different forgiveness programs that are out there. Like you said, Rufus, a lot of people just started to hear about the forgiveness programs when Biden was in. They did a lot of different programs and a lot of different things around that time. But a few points I want to touch on regarding student loan forgiveness. And so the most popular or best known program for student loan forgiveness is called the PSLF program. And that stands for Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. And really, it's a debt relief program for certain borrowers who really work full time in certain careers, particularly like public service. Think about like fire, elite teachers, military. So in many cases, you can qualify to forgive a part of your loan or even all of your loan if you meet certain criteria. So they have a certification process that you have to go through. Again, you can go to that website, studentaid.gov, to get more information about it, see if you can qualify. But I have clients who went to that program, and I literally saw them forgive, $100,000 in student loan debt. So that's not everybody's situation. But as you can imagine, if you can get $100,000 in loan debt forgiven, that creates so much more space and opportunity to be able to save, invest, grow, and be able to really hit those financial strategies that we talk about each and every day. So that's a big one. Under certain circumstances, you want to be able to consolidate your loans. So maybe you got different loans in different places, federal, private, etc. You have the ability to do what's called consolidation, which is kind of like refinancing, kind of putting everything together. So that's another thing we want to look into. And then potentially you can also just refinance your existing federal loans to lower the interest rate. But or you refinance, you want to make sure that you understand the program that you're going into, because sometimes it could be a federal program versus a private program. So you want to make sure you understand the ins and outs, because it can impact what you can and cannot do with that loan in the future. So it's so important to understand. So don't jump into it just to save a little bit of money monthly. You want to make sure you understand the ins and outs before you pull that trigger.
Really critical stuff. Khomeini, do this for us. You've covered quite a bit this morning. What are the key things that you want people to know from this conversation?
Yeah, Rufus, and so it is a lot of information around student loans and being able to manage that loan, your finances. So some of the key takeaways I want listeners to remember is that one, federal loans and private loans, they have different rules. They're not the same. So just remember that. Make sure you understand the difference between a federally backed loan and a private, right? Number two, don't ignore the repayment plan or terms, right? Student loans don't just go by. Even if you don't pay them, they're not going nowhere. There are a lot of rules around student loans, and they've actually even tightened them up over the last couple of years, that you need to be aware of what you have, the repayment terms, so you can eventually address it and pay it back. I want listeners to know that you need to build your budget around your student loans. Don't let it crowd out the other things that you have to do, including saving for retirement, investment, emergency reserves is one piece of the overall picture. So you got to put it in context. Of course, like I mentioned a second ago, be careful before you refinance or consolidate to make sure that you understand the program that you're going into. And then, of course, you want to review your plan every single year, and particularly income-sensitive plans, because in many cases, you have to submit your income to be able to recertify and get that plan each after year. So those are some of the takeaways that I want listeners to remember.
Critical, key, and important. Khomeini, what are we going to do on Tuesday?
All right, so next week we got our first show of the month. So of course that means we got hot topics. So we got hot topics. We're gonna do a mid-year check-in action. Just make sure we're gonna check in to see where we are and make sure we're on track for the rest of the year financially.
Good deal. Look, folks, Khomeini can be reached by phone or by text. 630-575-5046. 630-575-5046. Also, you can go to the website, wvonwealthshow.com, wvonwealthshow.com. Fill out a contact card or complete the Discovery Financial Survey to get started today. Khomeini?
Yeah, I just want to thank the listeners for continuing to support, continuing to listen in. I plan to be in the studio next week, hopefully, God willing, and so we can pick it up again and jump into another episode of Wealth Strategy. So in the meantime, everybody enjoy your week.
Indeed, God willing, the creek don't rise, which is real talk in this day and age. Khomeini, thanks again. Always good to have you.
Thank you, Rufus. Appreciate it.
Be well, my brother. Annette, before we get out of here, Dr. Fauci went before Congress yesterday, and he answered every question the same way. On the advice of counsel, I take the fifth. What did they expect from him? Annette's doing work back there. Titus, what did they expect from him?
I don't know, because of the fact is he was already pardoned about certain things that he said during COVID. He already went before the committee again. So what else do you expect that's going to be new? So he definitely did the right thing. It kind of reminded me of the Dave Chappelle skit from years ago. F-I-F, fifth, not four, but fifth. So it's just like, what are we doing here?
You think about Dave Chappelle. I also often think about Reverend Jackson on Saturday Night Live. The point is moot.
Right.
The point is moot. Look, this is what they hoped to do. This was mostly Republicans. They went in hard after Dr. Fauci. He was cool as a cat, continued over 100 times to take the fifth. And what their intent was, he has been pardoned, but what their intent was to try to get him to say something by which they could then charge him with perjury, to try to find something somewhere in there. That's why even the most innocuous question, he took the fifth, because you're not catching me on that. He's got good attorneys, and they tried to even talk about his attorneys and who his attorneys had represented before, but he hung on, and stayed with it.
Yeah, Rufus, he did a great job. I'm sorry, I was distracted. Yeah, he did a great job. And it was such a bizarre hearing because they even threw his attorney out of the room.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, his client is not answering any questions, but yet the attorney had to get thrown out. I guess they thought this was an intimidation tactic to get Fauci to talk, and it just didn't work.
That's what it all was. And look, we're in the space. We've talked about the exploding diarrhea, I'm not going to try to say the word because I can't think of it right now. Cystiporia. We've got outbreaks of
Cyclosporiasis.
Thank you. I was somewhere close. We've got outbreaks of measles. We've got all these health issues.
All these food recalls and all this going on, and here we are.
And they spend all of this time, energy, money in bringing back Dr. Fauci to hear him plead the fifth because they're trying to do something that doesn't make any sense. If they're going to bring anybody in, I recall Donald Trump being there telling us to inject ourselves with bleach. I recall them not doing much that was really helping us along the way. But mostly I recall this black doctor who came up with the cure, the vaccine, so that we could start getting close to one another and come to where we are. It was the most ridiculous thing. I'll say one of the most ridiculous things because this administration can only outdo itself. We're going to leave it right there for today, ladies and gentlemen. Annette, as always, love and appreciate you and all that you bring. Titus, thanks for keeping all these things together.
I plead the fifth.
Oh, and Rufus, today isn't it Cheesecake Day? And I was just certain that you were going to have Eli's Cheesecake is celebrating an anniversary, and they're giving away free cheesecake at the Obama Center and at the DuSable Museum.
Oh, man, if you had told
No,
me
not
that,
free. I think it's going to be the year of their birthday, like 46 cents or something like that.
I would have hit Mark up to try to get some cheesecake. So
It's
that we
not
can
too
do
late.
that.
There's always tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow. I'll see what we can do. I think I got an appointment someplace at 11:10 this morning. Wonder where that could be on a day like this. Anyway, appreciate you all. The Root Crew, as always, I ask you, as you go through the course of the day, you will come across people who are dealing with things that you know absolutely nothing about. So please be kind, always. And with that, Annette, Matt's out in the street this afternoon. Oh, no, LaDonna and Ken are out in the streets this afternoon. They're going to be at a Kodo. There you go. Go over there and get some hibachi and have your own round table as we did yesterday. And man, I'm so far past time. I am out. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Sunny and mild temperatures climbing near 90. 88 is our official high on this Thursday, July 30th, 2026. I'm Annette Flernolian in the headlines. Cameras captured 4 thieves breaking into Brown Sugar Bakery on East 75th Street. Family, neighbors, friends, and former teammates are mourning the death of Tim Bankston, a former Simeon High School basketball star and coach. He was found fatally shot inside a home. And a lot happened.